Hello, sorcerers! My name is Chance, welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the 8th episode of our Metamagic series. Today we're going to be going over one of the most popular Metamagics in 5e, at least that currently exist. They're likely to add more as time progresses. But we're talking about Twin Spelled, which is a fan favorite for those sorcerers who kind of like to abuse the game a little bit. That being said, if you'd like to check out the full Metamagic playlist, please click on that little eye icon up above there, or wait until the end of the video and click on one of the end cards. In any case, let's dive right into its description. When you cast a spell that targets only one creature and doesn't have a range of self, you can spend a number of sorcery points equal to the spell's level to target a second creature in range with the same spell, one sorcery point if the spell is a cantrip. To be eligible, a spell must be incapable of targeting more than one creature at the spell's current level. Really interesting stuff. Now, before we get in too far, Wizards of the Coast does give a couple of examples of kind of like what is applicable versus what isn't. So for their examples, they say Magic Missile and Scorching Ray aren't eligible, but Ray of Frost and Chromatic Orb are. There are some interesting spells out there. Eldritch Blast is the most obvious example, and Chaos Bolt is slightly less obvious, but still heavily debated, I guess. So Eldritch Blast is applicable until it gets its damage output increased, because it creates a second blast. And Chaos Bolt is kind of a gray area. By raw, it isn't allowed, just because of its secondary effect of potentially hopping over. However, seeing as how it's a sorcerer exclusive, most DMs can be swayed into allowing it, but by raw it isn't allowed. Ice Knife, for the exact same reason, isn't allowed, as it has a secondary effect that can target multiple people, or multiple creatures rather, so just do bear that in mind when you're using this spell. Now let's get on to my personal thoughts regarding it. Twin Spell to me is one of those unique cases where it's super applicable for buffing or using some form of enchantment magic. I'd probably push you more towards the enchantment angle of things. However, twinning something like Haste, super usable, super fun. Polymorph as well can lead to some really interesting outcomes. That being said, just something to be mindful of is the expenditure of your sorcery points with spell level. So it might be worth being a little bit more frugal at some points versus another. However, this is potentially used in game-breaking ways. Zbashu famously made a video where he twin-spelled Dragon's Breath onto two familiars. That's a really, really messy way of using this. It's super useful, don't get me wrong, and could make for some really interesting roleplay opportunities. However, I find more often than not this spell is best used when it comes to buffing or debuffing as opposed to necessarily damage. That being said, however, I'm sure there's going to be some notable exceptions here or there, especially since Wizards of the Coast is constantly coming out with new spells, and every once in a while you'll get one that isn't 100% thought through as it relates to the metamagics. In any case, let me know what you think of Twin Spell down beneath in the comments section. Mention any crazy combos, cool ideas, or fun stories you have with it, as well as any questions, comments, or concerns you can think of as well. That being said, if you'd like to gain access to a free one-shot written by yours truly, please do check out the Guildhall and use code WELCOME to get yours. That being said, I hope you'll have a wonderful day, and as always, happy adventuring.